Show. Come on. 7:42 with Piscopo in the morning. It's Thursday. Are you up? Are you at 'em? I know you are. Hey, a lot going on. There's so much going on in the world. Of course, all about politics. It was great to see the Republicans. I can't believe I'm saying this, because I don't like either party anymore. Are you like me? You're just disgusted with everybody, right? So it was great to see them rip it up internationally and talk about what's going on in the world and really be specific in Carly Fiorina and Marco Rubio, specifics on how to deal with problems. Governor Christie also, they knew their international affairs. How about that? Someone in the White House that understood the lay of the land internationally. Wouldn't that be surprising? So Cliff May is the president of the Foundation for Defensive Democracies. Cliff, welcome back to the show.
Always good to be with you.
Thank you, man. What's going on? We're seeing the stories this week that some of our military intelligence analysts actually cooked the books to make it look like we were winning the war on ISIS. What happened here, Cliff?
Well, look, there's at least an appearance, or at least a suspicion, that that's exactly what happened, that the intelligence was doctored in order to make it seem like we were doing better against ISIS than we were. And there is going to be, evidently, an investigation of this at the Pentagon, and one hopes to get to the bottom of it. There are people in the intelligence community, quite a few of them, who are very upset. There's no point in bringing back good intelligence if it's going to be altered by those in power in order to give the public the impression that they're doing a better job than they are.
Cliff May, help me out here, because I always believe no soldier dies in vain. So we go into Iraq, whether you agree with it or not. And we chatted about this before. I thought for sure, that we would wire Iraq. If we're taking it over, that the CIA was going to just wire it so we had intelligence like nothing else. But you're telling me, and according to these reports, that did not happen.
Well, there's a couple of things. One is we had the Iraq war initially, let's just remember, went very well in the sense that Saddam Hussein collapsed like a house of cards. His military wasn't up to the task. They obviously did not have weapons of mass destruction that they were prepared to use against the U.S. That part went well. After that, bad mistakes were made. The entire Iraqi army was dismissed. Those people, all those guys, didn't have jobs. They were angry. They needed something to do. There were people who had ideas for them. Eventually came the surge, and under General Petraeus, what happened was we were able to defeat the uprisings against us, both those from the Sunnis who had been dismissed from the army, also from al-Qaeda in Iraq, which came in there, saw an opportunity, and became very powerful, and Shia militias under the command of Iran. The surge worked. Eventually, we were there, and we were keeping the peace among the Sunnis, the Kurds, and the Shia, and people were voting, and you could walk around the streets of Baghdad. Prematurely and precipitously, in 2011, Obama said we're now pulling out every single troop. And once that power vacuum was created, Iran said, thank you very much, we'll take it from here. And they became the power in Baghdad. Now that made the Sunnis of the country scared and furious. That allowed for al-Qaeda in Iraq to regroup and resurge and eventually morph into ISIS. And that created the situation we have right now. And so our intelligence in Iraq is not good. Our intelligence in Syria is bad and possibly, as we've been discussing, doctored. We have very little intelligence, as far as I understand, in Iran or in North Korea. North Korea is another nation with whom we negotiated a nuclear agreement. They cheated on it. Now they have nuclear weapons.
Look at this. Cliff May. Love having you on the show, Cliff. I mean, that synopsis was as bright as we have heard. And that's why we appreciate you coming on the show to get to folks listening. That's exactly what happened in Iraq, what exactly is happening in the Middle East. And this, Cliff May, from Associated Press, amid increasing unease and uncertainty over Russia's intentions, the Obama administration plans to accept an offer from Russia for direct talks on its military buildup in Syria that U.S. officials believe is aimed at propping up Syrian President Bashar Assad. What's going on there? And now the president's going to meet with Putin. And after all of what you just told us, how bad is this in Washington under Barack Obama?
Well, I think it's a meltdown. Significant damage is being done, and the question is whether the next president can begin to repair the damage. Putin is very much part of it, but if Putin meets with Obama, it'll be a fun day for Putin. He'll eat his lunch, and that's what he plans to do. That's what he has. Do remember that initially Obama said we're going to have a reset with Russia. His view was there's been some misunderstandings, but Putin and I'm sure, can get along. I'm sure Putin wants to be cooperative, wants to get invited to dinner at my house. Therefore, things will go fine. Well, the reset didn't quite go so well. Right now, you've got Putin. He is, way back to the Bush era, he took a bite of Georgia. He's taken a big bite of Ukraine, all of course, Crimea. And he has his eye, we believe, on the Baltic countries, Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania. He believes, as you well know, that the greatest tragedy of the 20th century had nothing to do with the Nazis, nothing to do with the Holocaust. It was the fall of the Soviet Union. I don't think he's a communist, but he is an empire builder, and he sees nobody to stop him. So part of it is Russia is going back under Putin into the Middle East. This is something that presidents of both parties have not wanted for all kinds of important geostrategic reasons. He is aligned now with Iran very closely, who is also supporting Assad. Assad is very much the puppet of Iran at this point, the governor general of what is seen as an Iranian province that goes by the name of Syria. Don't forget, Iran is really controlling Damascus. It's really controlling Lebanon through Hezbollah. It's supporting the Houthi forces trying to take over Yemen, which has strategic significance because it's on a very major international waterway. And it has imperial ambitions that President Obama doesn't seem to even recognize, much less want to do anything about. The Russians are putting boots on the ground, special forces, building airfields. They're reestablishing themselves, and they want to become the power broker in the Middle East as they support Iran's empire.
And they'll do it. Cliff, it looks like they'll do it.
Well, there's nobody to push back on them. We're not. The Europeans certainly are not. The Europeans are sitting there trying to figure out what it means that hundreds of thousands of Middle Easterners are swarming into their countries demanding food, clothing, housing, training, jobs, all of the above, and thinking, is this a wonderful thing or not?
Yeah. Hey, Cliff, of those people that are going in, why aren't they going into Arab nations?
Oh, that's a great point. There are 57 members of something called the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, the most powerful organization in the world most people never heard of. It's like an Islamic UN. They are not saying, you know what, there's plenty of room and we got plenty of money here in Saudi Arabia. You know what, we've got the Western Sahel, we've got places in Morocco. These poor people, we want to take care of them. Not at all. The Arab League has 22 members. They're doing nothing. Also, if you look on their websites, you won't even see the Syria and the refugee crisis presented as a big problem, certainly not as their problem. Look, I'm not going to suggest to you that Al-Qaeda, ISIS, or Iran engineered this so-called migrant or refugee crisis. I am going to tell you they're all smart enough to know how to utilize it for their benefits by sending in people and recruiting people in Europe who are going to change Europe very profoundly over the next 10 or 20 years if this continues as it does. And by the way, what the Europeans are starting to come to recognize is if the first few 100,000 who come and you treat them well and you open your doors and you open your wallets, you don't think there'll be another 100,000 and another 100,000 and another after that who will say, well, I want that too? Why not?
Cliff May. Cliff, what a great chat with you. We always appreciate it. Please come back anytime, Cliff. Thanks for taking the time this morning. Great stuff. President of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Unsettling, but right on the money. 7:51. There she is, Debbie Duhame. You still got your heels and dress on, Deb?